Last time I spun yarn, I set out to make a garden yarn, but ended up with a really pretty sky yarn. In this video, I really want to achieve that flower garden inspired yarn. So let's get started. All right, we're gonna jump right into this. No delays. I have pulled a bunch of wool colors and I'll just kind of show you them. I think where I went wrong with the last one I tried to create being inspired by a garden, it was the white and the blue, and I'm not really sure what I was thinking with that. I realized that what I really wanted was a specific kind of flower garden yarn. And I think to achieve that, I'm gonna need a lot of shades of green and pink. So I have these ones so far, but I think I'm gonna need some lighter pink as well. So I do have this more, this is what I'm worried about, is going a little bit too muted with the pink, because I think that's gonna sort of muddy the color, which is kind of what happened last time. I mixed in too much white. And then also what I did was I carded the wool again, and I think that was actually a mistake because basically it blended the colors further. So it just kind of made them mesh together instead of having those pops of colors that I was adding. I also have some darker green, oh, this one, and I think that would help as well. So I think we're gonna just go for it like I did before. I've been thinking about how the color is placed on the drum. So whether that be striped, so it goes all the way around the drum, or more in little almost splotches. And I'm kind of inclined to do more of that like I did in the last one, simply because I think that's gonna give me more of a painterly look than having essentially stripes of wool around the drum. Anyway, let's get started with carding together the wool. So let's lay down a little bit of green. Just kind of randomly. Now you'll notice I'm often using like pretty small pieces of wool because I'm trying to use up some of the more scrappy kind of pieces of wool I have around. And I think this is such a great way to use them because they're not long enough really to weave with. So I thought they would make great bats because I can kind of card them all together and make it long again. I'm kind of just going through all the different greens that I have first. And this one, I think I really don't want to card together a second time. I want to hopefully just do this once so that I'm not blending the colors together too much. So let's push this all down now. So instead of carding it together multiple times, I think I'm gonna think about this more in layers. So put down a green layer and then maybe add some pink and then green and then pink. And I'm wondering if that will get me where I'm wanting to go. Okay, so now I'm gonna look for the spots where I don't really have wool, like there's one. And I wanna start adding the pink in those spots. There's another one. And I could slow this down for this part because I'm trying to fill things in. Basically, I kind of want to feel like I'm painting this wool onto the drum because I'm very curious about what kind of effect that really will have in the yarn instead of, like I said, long stripy colors. And I just want to experiment with a lot of different placements of the colors. What other color do we have? We have some of this more coral. It's looking really pretty, so I'm liking that. I do think I want to thicken up some of those green spots before I go adding pink because, again, I'm trying not to let it sort of be pink and green mixed, turning them into a more muddy color. I want chunks of green and chunks of pink so that those colors stay a little bit more true. So I'll add more of the green into those green sections, hopefully not blending them in too much. I love how I said I didn't want to do stripes and now I'm doing stripes. But it just feels like maybe now that I have enough layers of each of those, well, I'll add a little bit more pink, and then maybe I'll start staggering the colors a bit, because I'm afraid of doing what I did last time, which again turned out really pretty, but it was so much more muted than I thought I was gonna get out of that yarn. So now I'm just kind of like, I don't want to repeat that exact same thing. I want to try to do something a little bit different. So I'm going to add pink, because maybe if I don't card them again, even though I'm adding the pink right on top of the green, because I'm not going to card it again, it shouldn't mix as much with it. So I'm hoping what that means is that as it's being spun, you'll just get these little pops of each of the colors instead of just, I don't even know how to explain it, just one long piece of a color instead of just seeing little pops of each color. But we'll see what happens. It's definitely giving more garden vibes. I do wonder if I should be adding something even brighter to the mix, but live and learn. We're going to be making, I'm really excited about making yarn, and I want to make a lot of it. So that's why I'm more than happy to do these experiments, because I just started doing this, really. I don't have like a knowledge of how each way of mixing the colors together is going to turn out once it's actually yarn. So that's why I'm feeling like I need to do a lot of experimentation. And just like last time, I'm trying to get as much wool on here, and then hopefully I'll actually remember to weigh it so I can have a sense of how much I can actually get on this drum. You guys, okay, I know it's not focused on my face right now, but I noticed something weird that happens after I've been staring at the drum spinning too long. When I stop it and I look around, everything looks like it's moving, and it's trippy and a little bit dizzying, but I'm gonna keep going. But I just needed a minute because that was making me dizzy. Okay, so this is the batt, and it looks completely different from one side to the next, as you can see. So I'm excited to split this up into the strips, and then we'll get started with spinning. But first, well, I'm gonna show you on the front facing. So this is what one side looks like. And this is what the other side looks like. So it's a lot more green. So it'll be interesting to see how this actually spins. So I'm gonna set this aside, clean up the drum carder, and then we can get started with spinning. All right, I'm all set up with my spinning wheel, and I'm gonna start spinning this. I'm gonna do it similar to the other yarn I did because I absolutely loved it. So it's gonna be a core spun yarn, and I'm gonna do probably a spiral ply again. I do think when learning something new, or learning it again in my case, and doing different types of yarn than I ever learned how to do when I first learned how to spin, I think it's nice to do the same type of yarn a few different times just so that you're getting the hang of it more so, because if I do it once and then wait a really long time before I do it again, I feel like it's not really improving on the skill. So I want to do the same kind of yarn. Plus I just absolutely love the texture. So if you missed the last spinning video, you can check that out too. So I'm going to split this yarn, or sorry, this wool into the sections now. And already I absolutely love this. It's definitely giving like garden-y vibes. So that's really good. And these splits aren't like super even or anything, and it doesn't really matter. Now this is a very big chunk of purple, so I might pull some of that out. I last minute decided to add the purple, and I didn't want to add a ton of it, so I just did a little bit, and it'll hopefully just be a pretty little pop here and there. And I didn't weigh this. Should we weigh this? I really should, because I am also curious about how much I was able to pack on, and I probably could have put even more on the drum. So I'm gonna go grab my scale and then we'll weigh it before I start spinning it this time. I'm just gonna bundle this all up. We'll start with grams, and then we'll also look at how many ounces. So for grams, we have about 47 grams, which is 1.7 ounces. That's pretty good. And I feel like I probably could have fit a whole 2 ounces on there, and maybe even more. And I do think that this will create quite a lot of yarn. So I definitely am going to purposefully mix up the strips just so that we kind of have the whole, because I did, you know, everything really randomly. Once I have it in strips, if I make sure I'm not just doing the strips in the order of which I took them off, I think it'll just be better mixed. So let's get going with that. So I'm gonna grab my first chunk and we'll try to get this started. I find starting is always kind of awkward, so excuse me if it looks a little weird. Okay, it is a lot more stripey already than I thought it would be. Interesting. Okay, let's have a little look-see. It is really pretty. I don't know if it's quite what I was expecting, but that's what's so, I don't know. I find it fun to just like try these things and see how it turns out. And I do really like it. I do think it can read garden, and I'm so interested to see it once it's plied as well. So I'm gonna just spin this all up and we'll see where it takes us. Okay, I just have to show you this little section. Look how pretty that is. It's doing some very interesting things. It'll be really cool to see this actually woven up as well. I love it. Okay, I finished spinning the main portion of the yarn, and I'll obviously have to ply it now. I feel like this is definitely less than the last ball I did, but I don't know. So the next thing I need to do is ply this, and I need to decide what I want to ply it with. So I have this brownish color, and I also have this kind of ivory color, and I kind of wish I had a pink, but I do not. Now, considering I want this to feel gardeny, I don't know that like brown is the best color. That being said, it does kind of blend in nicely. So that might be good, but this color might just sort of brighten things up, which could be nice as well. So I'm gonna think on that, and then we'll get plying. All right, I'm ready to take this spool off, and we're gonna ply the yarn. And I'm gonna use this off-white color. I think it's called Ivory. So it's a bit of a beigey color. It's not as white as the off-white. I'm just working with some of these leftovers for now, but I think this is a little bit too stark and this is softer. So I'm gonna go with that one. And I have my makeshift Lazy Kate set up over here. So I'm just gonna swap these over and we'll start plying. So I'm trying something a little bit different this time. I'm gonna have my chunky yarn on one side of me and then my plying string on the other side, because last time, if you saw my last video, you would have seen me get those two tangled together. So that was a bit of a nightmare. So I'm gonna try to keep them a little bit more separated this time. And we'll just knot this all together. I feel like I probably could have used a slightly darker core for this one, because I'm noticing that as now I'm spinning in the opposite direction as I made the original yarn, I'm seeing that core just a little bit in certain sections. So it might have been better to use a core color that was different, or I could have just covered the core a little bit better. But I guess this is all part of the learning process. It's definitely working out way better for me to have the plying, like the two plies separated like I do now. So the string is off to my left and the core spun is off to my right. So let's pause and take a look at that. It's actually really pretty, and it's going to be so different throughout because I really spread out those colors. And so I'm interested to see what that will be like and how it'll weave up. This, just it laying here like this, is looking really cool though. So I have hope. Oh, I like it though. It is really pretty. It's funny how it totally changes again once you actually ply it together. So I'm gonna just ply this all. We'll get it on the Nitty Knotty, we'll get it into a skein, and we'll take a look at it. Okay, I just got to the end of the yarn. So I am going to cut this off and tie a little knot so that it doesn't untwist. Now I can get this onto the Nitty Knotty and into a skein. Okay, hello. I'm not gonna lie, this is way prettier than I thought it was gonna be. This is such a fascinating craft because you really can't judge the yarn until it's totally done. And now that it's all in this yarn form and I'm getting it on the Nitty Knotty, I'm just like, I think this is giving the vibe that I wanted it to, which is really exciting. So just like I did the first one, I'm just gonna cut a few of these. So I have something to tie the skein up, and then we're gonna look at it in its skein form. I should just take these off now. I just can't help but listen to my book. The yarn is all done, so let's have a look at the finished skein. Oh my goodness, I feel like this is exactly what I was hoping to achieve. I'm so excited to see it woven up. And if you enjoyed this spinning video, check out this one next.